When you came, everybody was like, "Oh, here's a liberal judge," and then came the Ayodhya judgment, and that's where people said that, "What has he done?" And you didn't even sign that. What happened? Why didn't the judges sign that judgment? What happened?
You
What was
want me
that?
to answer the
Both,
latter, the latter?
both,
Okay, yes,
whichever way you
certainly.
want to.
Okay, I'll answer the latter part, lest I forget to cover that in my response. Well, Ayodhya was an issue which had really, in that sense, covered a whole history of several hundred years. It was an issue which had threatened to tear apart the social fabric of the nation. And when we decided the case and we ultimately sat in conference, Chief Justice Gogoi was our Chief Justice at that time, a decision was taken consciously by all the judges together that there shall be no attribution of authorship to the judgment. And the reason for that was we all felt that it's important to send this message across that every one of us, Justice Gogoi, Justice Bobde, me, Justice Ashok Bhushan, and Justice Abdul Nazir, we stand together on this issue and we speak with one voice. And that was the intent behind not attributing authorship to any one person in the judgment. Of course, though there have been speculation outside on who actually wrote the judgment. That's besides the point. So that's the...
How much of it was yours, or can you speak about it?
Well,
No.
as I said, we haven't attributed authorship of the judgment. So as an
10
institutional
sentences, 15.
as an institutional person, I should stand behind
Okay.
that, because we decided not to attribute authorship to the judgment. Speculations are for others outside. For me, I'm part of, as a disciplined soldier, that, well, it was a judgment of the court.
But did it weigh down on all of you? And on when you were sitting down, did you realize that this goes back centuries, and what we do today is going to impact on billions of Indians? Today, tomorrow.
Well, if I were to answer that question in the negative, it wouldn't be a correct answer. Obviously, when you decide cases, you understand the significance of the issue which you are considering in this context of the wider polity. But having said that, when you actually try and analyze a case, now that was a first appeal. It was a first appeal from a suit or suits which were filed before the Allahabad High Court. Now, when you deal with a first appeal as courts, there is a very significant body of law on how a first appeal has to be dealt with. And when we dealt with the case, and I'm not speaking about the merits of the case, because that's now, our judgment is part of, it's public property for others to talk about the judgment. I'm just talking to you about, the generality of the processes, which is that when you deal with a first appeal, how you deal with a first appeal is now written in stone for all of us, because we've dealt with numerous cases, either first appeals and then second appeals or revisions. So this is part of judicial process. So while you are, of course, it would be hypocritical to say that a judge is not does not bear in mind the fact that you are dealing with a seminal constitutional case. At the same time, the processes of reasoning which you apply, the yardsticks which you apply for decisions of those cases are governed by the standard and well laid down parameters for the exercise of the first appellate jurisdiction, as it was in that case. So, going back to the first part of your question on, the second part was on authorship. And the first part, you spoke about, people trolling judges. I have no difficulty about people critiquing judgments of courts, because obviously today we are deciding cases of seminal importance, as in the high courts, in the Supreme Court. Even when district courts either decide to grant or not grant relief in a particular case, it might have wider ramifications. So people are entitled to comment, critique. I have no difficulty about that. My concern is when individual judges are trolled for the reason that the decision which they took in that particular case does not accord with the view of a segment of the population. And that is why, you said that, well, I was, I was regarded initially as a liberal.
Yeah.
I think, these labels of being either liberal or conservative, I'll give you a simple example. If you grant bail, you are regarded as a liberal. Now, if you don't grant bail, should that very judge be regarded as conservative? What if it's a case involving, say, a rape, a brutal rape and murder of a minor girl? Judge doesn't grant bail. Does that judge then become a conservative? No, because, the decision to grant bail or not grant bail, of course, the liberty of the accused is of very significant importance. But you also look at the wider societal impact of the crime. For instance, as in the example that I gave you, if a young minor has been raped and murdered, then obviously the seriousness of the crime and its impact on society, on social security, is something which has to weigh in the mind of the court under decided cases.
Click here to watch the full episode.